Deep
Hands
within a
up! Don't
hollowed-out
move!
mountain
I didn't do
in the
anything,
Colorado
please!
Rockies
Get
sat
around
the
now!
Archive,
Okay,
a
I'm complying.
multi-billion-dollar, high-security facility where the world's most powerful corporations sent their physical secrets to be destroyed. It was a fortress of steel doors and biometric scanners, run by a cold-hearted billionaire named Marcus Thorne, who sold information insurance to the corrupt. Inside the lowest level of this fortress, in a room filled with the deafening roar of industrial paper shredders, worked a woman named Sarah. She was 56 years old, wore heavy ear protection and a dusty, gray jumpsuit, and spent 10 hours a day feeding crates of sensitive documents into the iron teeth of the machines. To Marcus Thorne and his lead security officer, a sadistic man named Axel, Sarah was nothing more than a human gear in their machine. Axel took great pleasure in mocking her, often calling her the Shredder Queen in a mocking tone. He would intentionally drop heavy crates of documents on her feet or force her to work double shifts in the freezing sub-basement without a break. Once, during a high-profile tour for foreign investors, Axel tripped Sarah while she was carrying a heavy bin of paper scraps. As she spilled onto the floor, covered in dust and debris, Axel laughed and told the investors that people like Sarah were the human equivalent of the trash she destroys. Sarah didn't say a word. She didn't even look up as she crawled on her knees to gather the tiny scraps of paper, her face a mask of silent, weary acceptance. However, the trash was a master of intelligence gathering. Sarah was actually Colonel Sarah Cypher Vance, a retired legend from the National Security Agency and the military's top specialist in physical and digital data recovery. She was a woman who could rebuild a shredded document from a handful of dust and hack a mainframe using nothing but a copper wire. She wasn't at the archive for a paycheck. She was there because Thorne had stolen a black ledger, a physical book containing the secret bank accounts of international terrorists and corrupt politicians. For 7 months, Sarah had played the role of the invisible worker, her shredder maintenance kit, actually containing high-tech scanners and signal jammers. She had mapped every inch of the mountain's ventilation system and identified the exact resonance frequency of the vault's reinforced glass while she was cleaning the high-security wing. The situation turned into a lethal confrontation on a freezing Tuesday night when a young female data analyst named Emily accidentally found a digital ghost file showing that Thorne was planning to blackmail the President of the United States. Axel caught the girl and dragged her down to the shredder room, intending to toss her into the industrial blades to make her disappear without a trace. Sarah was at her station, feeding the night's last crate into the machine. Axel saw her and, with a cruel smile, told Sarah that she finally had a real job to do. He ordered her to push the girl into the machine, laughing as he told Thorne over the radio that the old hag was finally going to be useful for once. Sarah stood there for a long moment, her hand on the lever of the massive shredder. Then, she let go of the machine and stood up perfectly straight. Her shoulders squared, her back stiffened with the posture of a veteran commander, and her eyes turned into cold, lethal shards of ice. She looked Axel in the eye and told him, in a voice that sounded like the crushing weight of the mountain, that his employment was terminated. Before Axel could even draw his pistol, Sarah moved with the explosive speed of a professional assassin. She didn't use the machine on the girl. She used the heavy metal lid of a document bin as a shield, slamming it into Axel's chest and pinning him against the wall before he could blink. Then nobody was gone, and the cipher had arrived. She pulled a microtransmitter from her collar and spoke a single word, 0. Instantly, the entire billion-dollar facility went into a catastrophic digital collapse. The electronic locks jammed, the security cameras were looped with static, and the industrial shredders began to run at a frequency that shattered every glass window in the wing. Sarah reached into a hidden compartment in her shredder station and pulled out a suppressed submachine gun and night vision goggles. She moved through the darkness of the mountain like a phantom, using the very noise of the machine she had tended for months to mask her movements as she dismantled Thorne's security force. She picked off the elite mercenaries one by one with a terrifying, silent precision, never realizing it was the woman they had spent months bullying. By the time Sarah reached the top floor, Thorne was frantically trying to burn the black ledger. She didn't fire a shot. She had already remotely activated the facility's fire suppression system, but instead of water, the pipes released a specialized gas she had swapped months ago that instantly neutralized the flames and everyone in the room. As Thorne slumped over his desk, Sarah walked in, her gray jumpsuit covered in the dust of the mountain, her eyes burning with the fire of justice. She took the black ledger and whispered that while he thought she was trash, she was actually the one who knew exactly how to take the trash out. She triggered a remote signal to a waiting Delta Force team, and within minutes, Black Hawk helicopters were descending on the mountain peak. Thorne and Axel were led away in shackles, their empire destroyed by the very woman they thought was beneath their notice. As the sun began to rise over the Colorado peaks, the Shredder Lady was nowhere to be found. Emily, the young analyst, was safe and being protected by federal agents, but the woman who had single-handedly dismantled a billionaire's fortress had vanished. Sarah had already changed into a plain denim jacket and jeans, driving a nondescript truck toward the state line. She had a new identity, a new mission, and a new location already in her sights. To the world, she would always be a nobody, just a face in the crowd. But as long as the powerful and corrupt thought they could treat the lowly people of the world like trash, Sarah, Cypher, Vance would be there, waiting in the shadows with a broom in one hand and justice in the other. If you enjoyed this story of justice and hidden power, hit that subscribe button to join our community and never miss a mission. We bring you the best underestimated hero stories every week. Thanks for watching.